Assalamu alaikum students. I'm Dr. Wajeeha, your course instructor for the Gynecology and Obstetric Physical Therapy. Now we are moving towards the midterm exams, and before the midterm exams, in this video I will revise the pre-midterm content of our subject. So in this subject, first of all, I will go through the basic introduction of gynecology and obstetrics. Then I will go for the anatomy of the reproductive system and urinary tract. After that, we will cover the pregnancy complications, the problem during the pregnancy, the different trimester of pregnancy, then the labor phase, and the exercises which are recommended for the antenatal period, even for the high risk pregnancy and the non risk pregnancy. So let's start with the basic anatomy of the and basic introduction of gynae and the anatomy. So these are the two terms. The one is the gynecology, and the second one is the obstetrics. So what is the difference between these two? Totally, two are like similar, but both are different in their own ways. The gynecology is basically is a branch or is a branch of medicine, or you can say it is a branch of biology, which deals with the normal functioning of the female reproductive system along with the diseases of the female system, reproductive system. So, gynecology is all about the female reproductive system, both the normal functioning and the in case of a disease. But then, what is meant by obstetrics? It is about the duration of pregnancy. It is about the childbirth. It is about the midwifery. So whenever a person is dealing with a pregnant female, that is not the gynecologist, that will be the obstetrics. So the branch or the domain which deal with the pregnant female, which are related to the childbirth, that is the obstetrics. So it is an umbrella term, and gynecology is an umbrella term. It deals with the both the diseases of the female reproductive system, along with the healthy functioning of the female reproductive system, along with the bowel, bladder, and the other urinary tract issues. And obstetrics is about the care of pregnant female, pregnant woman, the prenatal health, the postnatal health, and the most important thing is the healthy childbirth and the healthy fetus and the healthy mother. So, what is about the male health? Of course, this is also a very important domain, but it is not under the gynecology. It is the different from the gynecology. So, those professionals, those professionals, those healthcare workers who deals with the male reproductive system health, their normal functioning, and the problems are the urologist, and this domain is under the andrology. So if someone is dealing the male reproductive system, the normal functioning, and all the problems like the urinary issues, the fecal issues, or any problem with the childbirth or infertility, that domain will be in the andrology. And most of the time in our country, urologists deal the counterpart of the gynecology. So the gynecology is all about the female reproductive functioning and the related diseases. And embryology is related to the male reproductive and urinary uh, issues, and even the normal functioning. And it is dealt by the urologist. Now we'll start from the reproductive system. The reproductive system or the reproductive tract is the main tract which is responsible for the population increase. It is related to the increase in the generation system. By this system, the human being reproduce their offspring. So this is a very important in case of new generations. When we talk about the reproductive system, the male reproductive system is different from the female reproductive system. The male consists of the different parts, and there is even the functioning is also different. And in case of the female, the parts are different and the functioning is different. In this diagram, you can see that the female reproductive system consists of the main part, that is the uterus. Uterus is responsible for occupying the fetus at the time of pregnancy. So the main thing is the uterus, and the uterus is connected with the ovary, with the help of the fallopian tubes. As you can see in this diagram, this one is the uterus. It is inverted pair. It has different parts: the fundal parts, the isthmus, and the cervix. The uterus is connected with the ovary. Ovary is responsible for the egg production. So whenever it produces in the ovary, it transfer from the ovary to the uterus with the help of the fallopian tubes. So the fallopian tubes are the tract which provide the passage for the transport of eggs. So, and the uterus is then connected with the vagina with the help of the cervix. So, it was about the female reproductive tract. Now, if we talk about the male reproductive tract, it consists of the scrotum. So, the testicles, the testicles are connected with the prostate gland with the help of the ducts. The ducts are responsible for the transfer of the sperm from the testes to first to the waist difference, then to the urethra to the outside. So the male and female reproductive tracts are mainly there is a organ which is responsible for the production of ovum or the egg in case ovum or egg in case of female and sperm in case of male. And there are tubes which connect which allow the passage for the transfer of the sperm or the egg, and there is a outside connection which allow the ejection or the so, because we are studying the gynecology, and the gynecology, as told you, is about the female normal reproductive functioning along with the diseases. So, mainly we will cover all the female reproductive issues, the female reproductive tract, pregnancy duration, the trimesters of pregnancy, complications of pregnancy, the antenatal care, postnatal care, the labor care. So I will not go for the detail of the male reproductive system and the male issues. That is the part of the physiology. But in this course, we will cover the female reproductive tract and the related things. The female reproductive tract consists of the four parts. Then we will cover the circulation and then we'll go for the nerve supply. As you can see in this diagram, the main central part, this one is the uterus. The uterus consists of the further three parts. The top one you can see, this one is the fundus, and the second one is the body of uterus that is responsible for carrying the baby and for carrying the fetus. And the uterus is it can enlarge in size about the watermelon, and it is then become neck shaped. You can see, and that is known as the cervix. These are the fallopian tubes. The fallopian tubes are at the track, but it has finger-like projections. So these projections, among all these projections, there's a one projection which is attached with the ovary. So with the help of this projection, what will happen? The egg from the ovary will move from ovary to the fallopian tubes and then to the uterus, where the fertilization will occur. So this is the simple diagram. Now we'll go for the detail. The ovaries are the size of just uh, almond, the same shape as the almond and the same size. It is these are in the pink colors, and the four ovaries are consist of thousands of primary follicles, and each follicle is further consists of the two parts. The one is the ovum, and the second one a layer which is surrounded by the the ovaries are just the size of small size ovum, small size almonds, but it has thousands of follicles, and each follicle consists of one ovum, which is immature, and then there is a one layer which surrounds the ovum that is known as the stroma. So when the ovum fertilizes, this stroma layer ruptures and ovulation occurs. So in case of a female lady, in case of a girl, in case of a woman, there are production of 2 million to 3 lakh follicles at the age of by birth to the 7 years. So there are so many follicles. The ovaries are very acting as glands produce different hormone. Among them, the two important hormone are the progesterone and estrogen. So both act on the two parts which I told you. The one is the ovum and the second one is the layer. So if there is ovum, the progesterone and estrogen help in the ovulation. Ovulation means the release of the ovum from the that follicles. And the second, it acts on the follicles. The follicles react in two ways. If the female is unmarried, so what will happen to the follicles? It becomes, and obviously there is no chances of the fertilization that can occur. So the follicles will become shrink after the some time. But in case of the pregnant female, uh, the fertilization occurs, these follicles will change into a yellow colored corpus luteum, and then it becomes enlarged and until the delivery of the baby. So the ovaries are the glandular structures which are responsible for the production of hormones. Among the hormones, the progesterone and estrogen are the important one. Both act on the ovum and the follicles. At ovum, these help in the ovulation, and at the follicles, it depends upon the fertilization or not the unfertilization. In case of the fertilization, the follicles become the corpus luteum, yellow colored, and enlarges until the baby birth. The next one is the fallopian tubes. These are the tracts which connect the ovary with the uterus. Eggs produced in the ovaries and then they are transferred with the help of these fallopian tube to the uterus. This is 17 centimeter long and consists of involuntary muscle. Involuntary means there is some kind of uh, peristaltic movements so that allow the movement of the ovum from the ovary to the uterus. So the fallopian tubes has at one end they are like the tentacles. The tentacles are responsible for the ciliatory movements and ciliatory movements. So with these ciliatory movements, the egg will move from the ovary to the uterus. So in these tubes, it provides, as I told you, it provides the transfer passage and also the secretory functions. So as these are, it is consist of the involuntary muscle. So they are peristaltic waves. So that allow the ovum to move from the ovary to the uterus, but it doesn't allow back. So peristaltic movements are mostly act in a one direction. Along with these movements, ciliatory movements, it also provides the medium for the nourishment of the egg. There are some kinds of secretions like the exudates, which keep this ovum healthy, along with the sperm. So it provides these fallopian tubes provide a perfect medium for the nourishment and for the health of ovum. And if there is a sperm for the fertilization. It also provides the best medium for the nourishment of both the ovum and the sperm. And that medium is that state is known as the capacitation. And this capacitation allows the fertilization and then the implement, implantation. So as I told you, it has a funnel shaped and fimbricated, and there is a one fimbriae which is long and attached to the which is long and attached to the ovary. So that fimbria is responsible for the movement. So there are so many different terms which are related to with the abnormal pregnancy. Among them, one is very famous, that is the ectopic pregnancy. What is meant by ectopic pregnancy? Pregnancy in which the fertilized ovum, like this after the fertilization, the sperm and ovum fuses, there is a fertilization. It implants outside the uterine cavity. Normal implantation occurs in the uterus, but in case it occurs outside the uterus, that is the abnormal pregnancy. And among the different parts, like it can implant in the fallopian tubes, it can implant in the cervix, it can implant in the isthmus, it can implant at the junction of the fallopian tubes and the uterus. So if this implantation of the fertilized ovum occur at the fallopian tubes, that state is known as the ectopic pregnancy. Uh, there are very few chances of the survival of the ectopic pregnancy because the fallopian tubes cannot become enlarged as compared to the uterus. So there are more chances of drop of this pregnancy or abortion of this pregnancy after 8 or 9 weeks, or it may lead to the bleeding and the different complications which are related with ectopic pregnancy. So this is an abnormal phenomena, but in case of ectopic pregnancy, it can never survive till the 9 months. Most of the time, it ends after the 8 weeks, 9 weeks, or the 10 weeks. It depends. The next part is the uterus. As you saw in this picture, it is inverted pear shape, like a small pear. So it has three parts. The top one is the fundus. The second one is the body. Body is responsible for the expansion. It can expand up to the size of the watermelon. So that's why it can accommodate a fetus in it. And then that body becomes shrink in the size. You can see it is then becoming narrowing, and that part is known as the isthmus. And that isthmus is then ends at the uh, neck of the uterus, that is known as the cervix. It consists of the three parts: internal os and the external os, and the central one is the cervical canal. Among all the parts of the uterus, the most sensitive part is the isthmus and the cervix. The cervix is then connected with the external environment with the vagina. The cervix, it is a fusiform or spindle-shaped canal, which is the main junction between the uterus and the vagina. So it has a very important role in case of pregnancy. It is different in unpregnant female and in the pregnant female. In case of pregnancy occur, in case of conception, there will be a rapid change in the structure and the color of the cervix. Normally, cervix is very different, but in case of the pregnant or in case of conception, the cervix become bright, and the bright means it becomes different in consistency. It becomes thickened, and the vascularity changes, it becomes thickened, and the color becomes more bluish. So mostly gynecologists examine the cervix and confirm the pregnancy. So it has a very important role in the consumption, and it remains same in consistency, or it becomes remains same in as the ripened until the birth. At the time of birth, again it becomes thin. Even it allows the opening and the passage of the fetal head to pass. The next one is the vagina. Vagina is a little small tube-like structure. It has length of 7.5 centimeter, and with it is not perpendicular. It is parallel with the pelvic floor and the uterus. So it lies in the parallel. So it has the capacity to expand. It has both the longitudinal and circulatory muscles, along with the lining of the stratified squamous epithelium. That stratified squamous allow the secretion of different kind of exudate, different kinds of secretion. But these secretions are not the gland, are not the hormones. So vagina has secretion, but not the hormones. So there are no glands which are present at the vagina. Vagina is a direct access for the infection from outside body to the inside. So there are different kinds of open routes which allow the passage of infection to go inside the body, and in the reproductive system of female, vagina is the main cause, main part. So it can spread to the different level. It depends upon the passage of the pathogens or the bacteria or the virus. If pathogens are infecting the urethra, that is known as the urethritis, or it can lead to the infection of the bladder, and that is known as the cystitis. And then, if that infection leads to the problems and the infection of the uterus, that is the endometritis, and if it occurs in the fallopian tube, that is known as the salpingitis, and if the infection spread inside the body up to the peritoneal cavity, that is known as the peritonitis. So as I told you, it has stratified squamous epithelium, that is, which is responsible for the excretion of different kind of exudate and the secretions. So in vagina, there are different kind of mucoid and serous exudate. These are more thin. These are not like saliva, but these are more thick. These are more thick. So these mucoid exudate help to prevent this infection. Although vagina is responsible for the spread of infection, but by nature, by God, there is a system which prevents this infection, which prevent the spread of the microorganism from this route. So there is a exudate, which is considered always normal. So with the presence of these mucoid, these exudates, bacteria will not be responsible to move from this tract. The second most important thing is environment. The environment of the vagina is acidic. Bacteria, microorganisms, and the viruses cannot tolerate this acidic medium, so they cannot survive. The second one is the mucoid or serous exudate, and as I told you, it is not as the normal tract. It is along the parallel to the pelvic floor. So there is more required the anti-gravitational movement of the bacterium. So whenever bacteria try to move, there is the exudate, these acidic pH. These will not allow the bacteria to move from vagina to the further parts. Vagina or the whole reproductive system is supplied by the right and left iliac arteries and the venous drainages along with these iliac veins, and the arterial blood supplies from the aorta, and it drains into the inferior vena cava. Lymphatic drainage of the reproductive system of the or the pelvic region is very rich. Uh, in case of female, the most strong or the most vast or separate the lymphatic system is of the breast, and the second one is the pelvic region. This separate or the developed lymphatic system allow the very good drainage and the good defense to the infections. But there is also a very you can say that a disadvantage of this developed lymphatic system. If in case of carcinoma, in case of cancer, there are more chances of spread from this area. So it it adds good defense system to the body, but in case it fails to the defense, in case of some kind of carcinoma, it also leads to the metastasis. So it can lymphatic system is responsible from the spread of cancer from one body part to the other body part, and breast region and the reproductive system, the pelvic lymphatic system. These two are the most developed one, and they also lead to the spread of the carcinomas. The nerve supply. The reproductive system is supplied by the autonomic nervous system with the help of the pelvic plexus, and in the pelvic plexus, there are both the parasympathetic and sympathetic efferents are found. Among all the body parts, the most sensitive one with the highest sensory nerve endings is the cervix, and the second one is the isthmus. The two parts which are most sensitive with the enormous number of the sensory nerve endings are the cervix and the isthmus. So it was all about the reproductive tract of the female. The first I go through the gynecology in abstractive terms, then I covered the reproductive system of female. Now the urinary tract. The urinary tract is a system which helps to drainage of some extra fluid from the body. In this the urinary tract, it is a drainage system. It removes urine, the different kinds of waste materials. It helps to regulate the BP. It helps to regulate the pH of the blood. It is responsible for electrolyte balance. So it is not only the drainage system. It also has many different functions. So urinary tract work in case of males, it work along with the reproductive tract, and in case of female, urinary tract and the reproductive tract both are different. It consists of four parts: two pairs of kidneys, two kidneys, a pair of kidney, ureters, bladder, and the urethra. This time you can see the two kidneys, they are connected with the bladder with the help of the ureters, and the bladder is then ends at the urethra. Through the urethra, the urine moves out of the body. Both the kidneys are bean shaped and about the size of the fist of the owner. So it lies at the level of the first lumbar vertebra. But there is a difference between the right kidney and the left kidney in the size, as we know that the liver is on the right side. So because the liver is on the right side, the right kidney is slightly lower than the left one. So as you can see in this diagram, this is the structure of the kidney. It consists of two parts, the inner one and the outer one. The both are enclosed by the first one is the capsule. The kidney is enclosed in the capsule. The outer one is known as the medulla, and the inner one is cortex. The cortex is then ends into the different calyx, and the calyx are divided into minor and the major ones. And then these calyx drain into the pelvic cavity. The pelvic cavity in which the main urine drains, and then it enters or it moves or turns into the urethra. So at the junction of the pelvis and the urethra, there is a small angle that is known as the hilum or the hilus. So you can say this one is the hilum, this is the angle. So this angle allows the movement of urine from kidney to the ureter, but it doesn't allow to go back to the kidney. So you can say the outer part is medulla, then the cortex, and then there are two parts, the minor and the major calyx. The both drain into the renal pelvis, and that drains into the urethra. Blood supply of kidneys. The both kidneys are supplied by the right and the left renal arteries, which originate from the aorta, and then these arteries drain into the venous renal arteries into the inferior vena cava. Now let's talk about the urethra. As I told you, it allows the connection of kidney and the bladder. It is just same like the straw. The straw we saw in cases of juices or in case of bottles. So it's just like a small straw about the size of 25 centimeter long. It consists of smooth involuntary muscles, both the longitudinal and the circular one. So these involuntary muscles in the circular and the longitudinal one, they allow the peristaltic movement. The peristaltic movements are involuntary movements which allow the passage of a fluid or the content to pass from one part to the other part, but it doesn't allow to go back. So it has peristaltic waves. So whenever a person even lying, the urine will not go back to the kidney. It will remain into the bladder. So one is the hilum, that angle, and the second one, the structure or the composition of the urethra is responsible for stopping the reflex back of the urine. Urine enters in the bladder, and in bladder they enter at a specific point. That specific point is known as the trigone of the bladder. Even the entry of this ureter is at an angle. So at the hilum and at the trigone, you can see this is the diagram of the bladder. And this one is, you can see this is the triangle. This is the triangle. This triangle is responsible for stopping the urine from going back to the kidneys or going back to the ureter. So you can see it is not entering just at a 90 angle. The ureters are entering in the bladder at an angle, and then they are entering in the trigone at a specific angle. So you can see this trigone and these are the ureter. So it has a specific functions. Whenever bladder contract, the trigone also contract, but this contraction is such that it doesn't allow it. Whenever the urethra is open, the ureters are closed at the orifices, so the urine will remain into the bladder. This is the lateral view of the bladder. This is the urethra. These are the ureters, and this one is the trigone. If we talk about the bladder, its shape is not fixed. If it is empty, it will be like a boat. But if it is full of fluid, it will become different. It will become oval shape, and then it will even the place will change. In empty bladder will remain in the, but whenever the bladder fills, it becomes the part of the true pelvis or abdomen. Now let's talk about the trigone. Trigone is a triangular and a flattened portion of the bladder. It has a contractile thicker than rest of the bladder with an internal lining that is very smooth and particularly rich in nerve. It has two parts. The upper one is the base and lower one is the apex of the triangle. So the trigone is an inverted triangle. Now, the trigone is then connected to the outside with urethra. There is a difference between the male urethra and the female urethra. Female urethra is just responsible for the move of the urine, and the male urethra is responsible for. So it is a small structure or a small tube which is about the length of 3 to 4 centimeter, and it is embedded in the along with the vagina. So both urethra and vagina are in the same wall, interior wall, same, and they both lie behind the pubic symphysis. The female urethra is very short, so because of this shortness, it allows more infections to pass. And secondly, the females are not very comfortable with the different devices, incontinence devices. So the incontinence issues can easily be resolved in case of male, but in case of fitting of the devices, the female urethra is not so much competent because of its small or the shortened length. And this small length also allow the passage of infections. You can see this is the diagram of the male and the female reproductive system along with the urinary tract system. This is the male reproductive tract system with the common, and this one is the female. You can see here now. You can see the both are embedded in the same wall. The urethra and the vagina both are in the same. Now, if we talk about the sphincter, what are sphincter? These are circular muscles. These are responsible for closing of orifice. There are different orifices in body, like there are different orifices in the stomach. So these sphincter allow the closage, opening, and the closure of those areas in which we have to keep the content in that region. So, in case of the stomach, there are different sphincter at the upper end and the lower end. So when a sphincter open, it allows the passage, and when the sphincter is closed, it doesn't allow the passage. So it remains constricted or closed. But then, with the physiological function, it become normal and allow the passage of the food or the content or the liquid, whatever. But when we talk about the female, there are two different sphincter. The one is the urethral sphincter, and the second one is the vaginal sphincter. So in case of male, there is a one sphincter, but in case of female, as I told you, there are two different opening. The one is vaginal opening, and the one is the urethral. So it has two different sphincters. The one is the for urethra for stoppage of urine, and the second one is the vagina. You can see there. This one is the diaphragm, and these are the sphincter which are responsible for the pleasure, and it becomes open with the physiological functioning when a person feels to avoid urine. No, not supplied. The bladder is supplied by the hypogastric ganglion of the sympathetic system and the pelvic ganglion of the parasympathetic system. There are different sphincter, internal sphincter and external sphincter. External sphincter of female is supplied by the pudendal nerve from the somatic system, but internal sphincter is supplied by the ganglion, hypogastric ganglion and the pelvic ganglion. So bladder is highly sensitive with the pressure and the amount of the fluid, and but external sphincter is related controlled by the somatic system. The blood supply, it is supplied by the internal iliac arteries and then drains through the internal iliac veins. You can see in this the drainage, the blood supply. So it was all about the urinary tract system and the reproductive system. So in this revision lecture, I go through the difference between the gynecology and obstetrics, then the female reproductive system, the different parts and their functioning, and after that I go through the urinary tract system, the different parts of the urinary tract system and their functioning. If you have any question, you can ask me in the comment section, or you can contact me on the WhatsApp, or you can write down on the Google Classroom, or you can send me a mail. You're always welcome for the queries and questions. Good luck for the midterm examination. All the best.